best at.
But this is all a red herring. The scene hints at a few details from the prequel novels where their relationship is a focus of the story, but here it's just sort of nodded at without being explored. We haven't gotten enough of their dynamic to be invested in what happens here. It's too early for that. The choice seems, to me, like an effort to throw readers of the books off the scent. A statement of intent that this is a different story than the one we're familiar with. But I don't think it works for either audience. For book readers, it's not surprising or shocking enough to be interesting since we already know the story is going to go far beyond the life of Harry Seldon. And for new viewers, it's just confusing. So along with all the non-starter subplots, the whole episode feels like wasted time. What isn't wasted time is all of the bonus content I have over on my Patreon. Video about the Batman. All my thumbnail art is HD wallpaper-ready JPEGs. A recommended reading list. Some people wanted it. More stuff coming soon. I swear that Clone Wars video was close, I promise. But more than that, you guys have been so phenomenal at supporting the channel recently that we are rapidly approaching our next goal.
Zap tapping cigarette step. Zap tapping cigarettes kept stepping. Go back and tap it, teaching lessons.
With Fiverr, you can hire top-rated freelance experts in a variety of AI services. Alternatively, you could just become an AI expert yourself. Begin by learning acronyms like NLP, NLG, ANN. Spend hours writing countless prompts. And finally, stay up to date in a field that's constantly evolving, even at this very moment, and this moment, and this moment. And yeah, just hire a freelancer. Fiverr, freelance AI experts for your business.
Most people have no clue that in 2023, the best way to make money on Amazon is not with physical products. It's Amazon.
We've talked a lot about the positive stuff of Starfield, and there's loads of it. It's a great Bethesda game, but it's a Bethesda game. That means it ain't gonna be perfect. And being imperfect, there is stuff that people dislike about it too. Hi folks, it's Falcon. Today on Game Ranks, 10 things players hate about Starfield. Now, I want to preface this with a disclaimer really quick. I'm a huge Bethesda fan. I absolutely love their game. I'm not trying to old yeller Starfield here. I'm not taking it out back and dealing with it. That said, it's not a flawless game, and today we're going to talk about that. Starting off with number 10, the invisible walls. I'm coming in hot here. Players were hating on this before the game even came out. In retrospect, it feels a little overblown, but there are invisible walls that appear when you travel far out on any planet. No matter where you are or how open it looks, eventually you will run into a barrier that stops you from progressing. There's nothing to tell you that it's there until you run into it. And there's nothing to explain why it is there in the world of the game. It's just a game thing. So, given we've kind of been spoiled with space games that randomly generate full planets, and we don't even randomly generate a single entire planet in this game. I'll get into that in a second. If you land in a place, it randomly generates some of the planet. If you land in another place, it randomly generates another area of the planet. And what separates them is not more randomly generated terrain, it's invisible walls that don't allow you to go in between the two landing places. Like, you can't traverse your way back to the other area. Now, the reason why I say this is overblown is you kind of have to walk a really long time to hit an invisible wall, and it's mostly walking in a direction where there's nothing to see. I don't really know why you would explore a map enough to hit the invisible wall, and yeah, that brings up another legitimate complaint that there is not enough unique stuff to do on every planet, but it's not like Bethesda lied or anything. It's just kind of ridiculous to want to explore an entire planet on foot. They're pretty big. What's interesting about all this is that fans have tested it, and apparently the planets actually are fully connected all around. They're not just instances, so while you cannot walk between them, and there, I mean, for all intents and purposes, isn't really any ground in between them, I don't think it's randomly generating any terrain, apparently the game just throws up barriers that prevent you from doing this, probably because of the creation engine, which I mentioned is not the best engine of all time. Now there's an argument to be made that you should just be allowed to walk everywhere. Yeah, I get it. That it requires randomly generating probably more content, but really all that is following a seed. But you know, I'll say this, it's probably a cliche, but if you want full planetary exploration, there's probably going to be a mod for it. And number 9, when you're over encumbered and you have to walk back to your ship, now I mentioned this in another video, but wow, it is an irritating one. There's just few moments in the game worse than when you're wandering around clearing up points of interest, you take out some enemies, loot everything that's not nailed down, and now you're over encumbered. You picked up too much stuff, and now you're going to have to figure out some way to walk all the way back to your ship. It's one of those things that doesn't actually matter that much, and it has an easy solution, just drop a few things, but that's really not the Spacer way. The Spacer way is to steal everything and suck, okay? The walk back after an epic loot fest is Starfield's walk of shame, basically. It feels so wrong. You feel like a total idiot for letting your inventory get out of control, but I'm not going to leave all 5 of those identical guns around. Think about all the credits. I can sell 4 of those and keep one, or all of them. Maybe I don't even want the one. Maybe I just want the credits. Being over encumbered sucks in any RPG, but it's especially bad in Starfield, where the huge swaths of nothing you're forced to traverse is the reward for, you know, a great haul. If you just drop a few things, you can immediately teleport back to the ship, but that's just not happening. Maybe if your inventory space was a little bigger, it wouldn't be so much of a problem, which that brings us to our next point. And number 8, the limited inventory. It's one of those things about Starfield that's both not a huge deal, but also a huge deal. It's a crazy annoying problem. You just don't have enough inventory space. Your starting capacity is not very good. Your ship isn't much better, especially if you want to build an outpost, which requires a ton of resources. And if you're the type who likes to pick up everything, and this is a Bethesda game, so chances are high that you are, then you're gonna be managing your inventory constantly. You're giving stuff to companions, sorting through the ship inventory, dumping stuff at the outposts, just a non-stop bag of switching around inventory like a friggin' puzzle, because it never feels like you have enough space to carry everything that you want. There are ways around it, of course, getting a ship with a lot more cargo capacity, basically an essential for the Space Hoarder. If you're on PC, the other option is to just cheat, max out your possible inventory, and just carry everything on your back. Of course, cheating isn't really a legitimate solution to any gameplay problem, and console gamers are out of luck on that respect anyways, so it's not really a silver bullet. The only true easy fix here is for Bethesda just make it so you can carry more stuff. Or like, maybe give you an infinite chest somewhere to dump all your stuff, because as it is, having to play inventory shuffle every hour gets kind of old pretty fast. And number 7, forgetting what you picked up and then getting caught with contraband. Has this ever happened to you? Because it's happened to me more than once. And by more than once, I mean a lot. You're going through some random base, mindlessly nabbing everything in front of you because it's a Bethesda game. But one of those items happens to be contraband and you're not really even paying attention. And that yellow symbol doesn't set you off. Even though it should, you're completely desensitized to it because you've been playing the game for more than 10 minutes. So you don't think anything about it, head off to a main city to complete a quest, you hit the planetary checkpoint, and you see the little message, there's contraband in your inventory.
Our scan detected contraband. Halt and prepare to be boarded. All illegal and stolen goods will be confiscated.
If it was just that, then fine, who cares? They also confiscate all your stolen items, That's the real problem here. Some of the best stuff you get, you steal in this game. And it's all asking to be taken. It's usually not hard. And it's easy for a significant portion of your inventory to just be filled with stolen goods. And when you're caught, it's all gone. So you reload your game, you do something else, totally forget about all the contraband in your inventory. Again, it's an endless cycle that can be remedied by just, selling off all your crap. But you don't do it because you just forget about it. It's a bother. So it keeps happening. You keep getting caught with contraband, even though it's really not even worth that much. It's certainly not worth all the annoyance, but it's also, it costs money.
The Wells Fargo Active Cash Card. You earn 2% cash back on what you want, like first date plans and need.
No. Just my shoe.
Like maybe shoes without laces. The Wells Fargo Active Cash Card. That's real life ready.
Oh, I keep forgetting to check my colors.
The attraction towards new experiences is powerful. Alienware gear isn't.
And number 6, building ships doesn't let you look at the interior. This is one of those things that really starts to get annoying when you're deep in the weeds in the shipbuilder. But it really is a pain if you want to make a ship that both looks awesome and has a functional interior. Let me preface this by saying the ship customization in this game is freaking amazing. It's one of Starfield's most impressive accomplishments, which is saying a lot. But it's also not a perfect system. There's some fiddly parts of making your own custom ship, and the most glaring and obvious is that you can't look at the interior while you're editing. It wouldn't be that big of an issue if you knew what each module had inside of it, or you got a picture of the interior when you built it, but you don't. The only way to be sure what you're getting is to check the Reddit and look at the span updated listing that tells you what each ship module actually has inside it. Your ship is basically home base. It's the thing that you're spending the most amount of time in this game in, so it makes sense to try to make it as functional as possible and to make it look cool. And while the tools are extremely robust for the outside of the ship, the interior is kind of just a crapshoot. Pretty much your only recourse is to constantly save and reload at the different ship interiors to see which one you really like. It's really awkward and time consuming. Pretty much anybody who spends a lot of time in the build menu really hates it or is lying. Hopefully Bethesda comes up with some kind of a solution for this one. It's not that big of a deal for a lot of people, but for folks who really want to make their ship interiors interesting, it can be a huge pain in the ass, because it's not going to just happen. Oh yeah, and any loose objects you leave in the ship get sent to the inventory if you edit the ship at all, which also sucks, but at least it's understandable. And number 5, the chatty vendors. This one's kind of dumb, but when somebody pointed out how weird it is every vendor wants to tell you their entire life story when you first meet them, I just could not stop noticing it.
To be honest, I don't really know what I want. I just know that if I don't find something soon, my parents won't just disown me. They'll have me stripped for parts.
This sort of NPC behavior in something like Skyrim or Fallout makes a certain amount of sense. Their worlds are very different from ours. The process of buying and selling goods is different from our normal day-to-day experiences, but in Starfield, it's kind of a lot closer to the world we live in. New Atlantis is filled with fast food joints and coffee shops. It's basically just a modern capitalist society where commerce is safe and easy, but vendors still want to explain to you who they are, what's going on with them, and I don't feel like I really need to establish the same kind of trust in these worlds. It's not post-apocalyptic. It's not centuries ago or based on centuries ago. It's kind of just like there's a social contract. I feel like I can do business with you, and if you make problems for me, you're gonna face consequences.
Huh. I thought it was a joke at first, but yet here you are. Let me get that for you. I wonder why they keep running out so quickly over there. Anyway, tell Luther I said hi.
When I'm buying coffee at, Starbucks, the guy at the register doesn't, stop and explain to me anything about himself or, why it's better to go to this Starbucks than the rival coffee company nearby or trying to probe me to figure out if I'm a trustable customer. I just give him money for, coffee and then walk out. There's no reason for either of us to not trust that the other one is just straightforwardly doing the thing that they're trying to do. And it gets annoying after a while. I know Bethesda's just trying to insert a little character into the world, but I just want to sell some stuff, not talk to some dude about his marital troubles or something. It's really distracting and awkward most of the time. I know, you can skip through the talking bits, and I do that. It's not that bad. So, yeah, but it's really unnatural. It starts to get goofy after a while. Like, if I went up to a new salesman and they started telling me about their life story, I'd just be like, okay, well, I can go buy my robot at somebody who's not going to, tell me all this mundane crap. I don't care. I think you got a good robot, man? I just want to unload 50 stolen machine guns, and I want that robot. We don't need to know each other at all, my man. And number 4 is being an idiot and injuring yourself. The injury system in this game adds a little bit of a survival element to Starfield. It's not just guys shooting at you that are dangerous, the environment itself can be a danger. So that makes you the ultimate danger to yourself. It felt like 90% of my injuries in this game were self-inflicted. Starfield gives you a boost pack, so like, I'm gonna use the boost to get through. Sorry, I had to shoehorn that one in there. That wasn't gonna not happen. Well, I mean, who doesn't want to jump around the world? Get over walls, jump on catwalks, do all kinds of cool and useful stuff. It beats having to walk everywhere. It's great, but it's also a really good tool for hurting yourself constantly. Like, nothing in this game makes me feel like a bigger idiot than when I'm boosting around and I forget to do something to cushion my fall, and I just, like, injure myself. And I am not getting better about it. It happens all the time. It is never not annoying, too. All I had to do was let out a little mini boost at the end there before hitting the ground, but I always forget, and I got a sprained ankle or a fractured limb or something, and it's because I'm playing Space Skyrim, basically, and in my head, it's just Skyrim, so, like, none of this stuff's there.
I need your help solving a murder.
Oh, yeah? Whose mother?
Mine.
My name is Alec Mercer.
I was brought in because I know people and what.
I mean, this is why they need to move to a different engine. In my head, these new mechanics, they just aren't there sometimes. Especially when I've gotten used to the cool aspects of them, and I'm just counting on the rest of the jank to exist, because so much of the jank just exists. But I love getting a fractured limb from my trouble. That's a fun one. That's super temporary, so, I mean, it's kind of disappointing in the long run, but it's great. I love those injuries and their freaking propensity to happen. Like, honestly, all joking aside, it's mostly a harmless system that doesn't cause too many issues. But if you end up hurting yourself constantly, you really start to hate it. And number 3 is no city maps. The last few things, they've been kind of frivolous things to hate on, just annoying. Things that stick out in your head after a while. But this one's pretty bad. Like, people complain about Fallout 4's maps, but at least the game had them. In Starfield, the best you're gonna get is a blank-looking planetary map that tells you nothing about the city. The only way you're getting around is to memorize the city layout, or just stick to quest markers, which, that ain't gonna help you if you ain't doing a quest. Beyond that, there's nothing else you could do unless you want to, like, draw yourself a map, and that's not gonna help a whole lot, because then it's gonna act like a, old school paper map. You have to figure out where you are on it at any given time in order for it to be relevant. It's not like a mini map where you're a little dot on it and changes as you move around. So honestly, Bethesda put a lot of faith in the player in a way that I'm not sure that we want to be trusted. Like, yeah, easy to remember where Mast is in New Atlantis, but what about the gun store? I always forget whether it's left or right at the train station. So I inevitably run to one side of the city, not see the store that I'm looking for, because it's not there, and then I have to run to the other side of the city. And this game is not like Shenmue or anything. It doesn't take place in the 80s. It takes place in the far future, where, frankly, a mini-map is probably going to be embedded into our friggin' eyeballs everywhere we go. So, like, why is it not part of the consideration? Neon's a friggin' maze. Aquila City, not much better. They're fairly compact, but, like, good luck finding certain stores on your first, second, or even 15th visit to these places. Like, it's flattering that Todd Howard thinks that we're all friggin' geniuses with amazing senses of direction, but maybe don't assume that's us. We're not that, Todd. And number 2 is horribly one-sided space battles. When you're winning, space battles are awesome. There's moments where the game throws some tough odds at you, but you can overcome them by the skin of your teeth, and that's, I guess, cool. The flying's not the best, but it's functional in these situations. Every so often, though, the game's gonna throw ridiculous odds at you that just don't make sense. They're seemingly impossible. Actually scratch it. They are impossible. Depending on the ship you're rolling with, you can't win. In these situations, dogfights are weird and unfairly hard. When you're getting blown away by 4 enemy ships, just pound you with laser blasts, it sucks. There's moments where it feels like there's basically really just nothing you can do. You can boost away temporarily and get behind one guy, but then his 3 buddies just start blasting. I feel like we've gotten a fair amount of these Always Sunny references into these Starfield videos so far, but yeah, they're appropriate. These things just turn into damage races. Sometimes the game gives you some asteroids to hide behind, and they do help a little bit with space combat, but the majority of these encounters feel like you're just getting pelted with lasers nonstop until you manage to thin out the herd. It's basically a stat check without much skill involved, especially early on when your ship feels slow and weak. Now, when the one-sided space battles work in your favor, it's not that bad, but when you get stuck in a situation where you're out of the way or turn down the difficulty, it just kind of sucks.
About my program. This is crazy because this is like next week I'm supposed to start my first week of programming for the kids, and this week is like information and sign up week, and I'm not there for that shit, and so now they have to do my job, which is wild.
Grammarly's top 3 tips on starting an essay.
Let's say you're struggling to put pen to paper on an upcoming essay. You might have an outline already and know what you want to write, but are struggling to find the right words to get it going. Don't worry. Tip number 1, pick the right tone. Read your essay's first paragraph aloud and listen to your writing's tone. Tip number 2, when you're stuck, work backwards. You may even want to start at the very end of your essay. Tip number 3, polish your essays until they shine. Got an essay draft? Awesome! But don't hit submit just yet. Make sure you're always turning in your best work by using Grammarly to catch misspelled words, grammatical mistakes.
And at number 1, the loading screens. It's probably the number 1 complaint I've seen online, and I gotta admit, it's not great. If there's any one thing that's disappointing about Starfield, it's really the endless loading screens. This really bugs people, and it's easy to see why. Many modern games do everything they can to hide loading, or make it so the game only loads once at startup, or they come up with these clever solutions to make a game feel seamless, even when it's not. There's seams in every game. Starfield, however, it is old school. It does not hide any of that. There's no control when you're traveling from space to surface, no control when you're flying from one planet to another, or grab jumping to a new system. There's door transitions whenever you go inside most areas, and even though they're extremely short, it's obvious these areas are in different instances, that they're not interconnected, blah blah blah. If you had to fly around everywhere, it'd be a huge drag, so the game relies on fast travel, which has its own problems, and the constant constant menu hopping kind of just feels immersion breaking. It kind of makes the game feel like a collection of checkpoints you're ping-ponging between at times, and it feels disjointed and awkward. And here's, like, okay, perfect example. For the mission Ground Pounder, there's this one point in the mission where they want you to rescue another base, so you have to stop everything, get in your ship, fly to the other side of the planet, kill the 4 or 5 guys, get back in your ship, fly back, and continue the mission. It feels like a total waste of time. Half the trip out there was either navigating menus or sitting through loading screens, and while that's an extreme example, in a lot of situations it wouldn't feel anything like this. A lot of games like this would all be one continuous thing, and it is not. After a while you do get accustomed to it, and honestly, I'll take a lot of fast travel over the alternative of having to manually take off and land everywhere, but it starts to get annoying after a while. I don't hate the constant loading and fast travel in Starfield, not as much as some people do anyways, but I can see why some people do. There's a few ways to get around the endless menu use, like how you can directly travel to a place by opening up the scanner on your ship, but that doesn't solve the constant loading issues, and really not the tedious menu stuff. It's never great, but Bethesda decides that they have to be stuck in the creation engine, which I will complain about until the day they stop. Like, seriously, it's so easy. Just do what Obsidian does and use Unreal. It's built for open worlds. They do a fantastic job with it. And sometimes I think Obsidian has proven with evidence since New Vegas that they understand what Bethesda fans really, really care about with Bethesda games. But that's a discussion for another time. And that's all for today. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. Best way to see it first is, of course, a subscription. So click subscribe. Don't forget to enable notifications. And as always, thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter at Falcon the Hero. We'll see you next time right here on Game Ranks.
Who's pumped for tax season? Let's get out there and crush those taxes. Who's with me?
We know some freelancers who are pumped for tax season. This year, hire a tax expert on Fiverr.
Done. Your business up and running with Shopify, the commerce platform designed for entrepreneurs. Get customizable themes to match the look and feel of your brand. No coding required. Start selling online today. Powered by Shopify.
Oh man, the more I keep listening to Starfield stuff, bro, I might wait. I ain't even gonna lie. I really thought about doing it this week. But I just keep listening to shit and people are like, oh, it's not. Oh, man. And no game is, and I get it. I get that no game is what they always want it to be. The last game like that for me was Cyberpunk 2077. Cause I was so fucking hyped. Bro, I was so hyped for that shit. And I played it all the way through. And I enjoyed it. And I keep thinking about playing it again. Even though so many other people was like, this game and this shit and this blah, 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 blah. And I was like, I don't see a lot of that. And so now I'm thinking that that's the same thing that's happening with Starfield. Like, I'm just, even though all the stuff I've heard about it, I think I can still play it and enjoy it. But yeah. Then I already know too, like, if I do get that game, oh man, because I'm still addicted to the Call of Duty right now. I be playing that shit so much. Like, if I had a new game right now, I don't think I would paint at all. I don't really think I would paint. Okay, Win, sounding all crazy. Spooky ass ghosts in here. Moving my door and shit. And she said, ooh. Yeah, man. You don't even know how hard. That's why I keep listening to shit, bro. Starfield is like one of the only things I be thinking about lately. And and like trying to feel like I'm justified in buying a new gaming console just for one game. Not one game, because I know they're gonna put out I know they're gonna put out Skyrim, or not Skyrim, but Elder Scrolls. Yeah, and that's kind of what they're saying about. Well, that's what I hear about Starfield. It's just like the little nitpicky stuff, but does that break the game? And most of the players are saying no, that shit doesn't break the game. It doesn't diminish immersion, you know, drastically or significantly in any kind of way. And most people are still loving this shit. But now I'm like, I don't know. I want that shit bad, but I hate for it to get a whole console. That'd be the only game I play on that shit too. Trying to think logically, not just blow some fucking money. They keep telling me, let me finish paying my taxes for the year. Cause I got some school taxes. You know, my school property taxes, and that shit's crazy, yo. That shit like almost $2,000 a year or some shit. After regular property taxes, you gotta pay school taxes. And I don't even got no kids in school. I'm getting them property taxes paid. Then I think about if I can really afford another console for the one game. I want it so bad though. I honestly ain't got no bread in the throwaway basket right now. I ain't had a commission in so long. I don't feel like I got a lot of dispensable cash. Like niggas is not buying art right now. Motherfuckers is not getting sneakers customized. My one homie got the logo done recently, but that's about it. Yeah, I live in the school zone. I live in the city. I got regular property taxes. I got city taxes. I got fucking sewer maintenance taxes. Motherfucking school taxes. Yo, it's just like I rent. It's weird as shit, bro. It's like I rent my own home. I pay so much in taxes. You break that shit down, that shit like hundreds of dollars a month. It's just like paying rent. Then I still gotta pay all my bills and shit. That shit is weird. I hate when around the school taxes come in. Yeah, they try to tax a motherfucker to death. Or you wanna own something? Ha ha ha. We'll see, bitch. How bad do you really wanna own this shit? I'm trying to figure out where some of these wrinkles are at. Let's see. Yeah, but their Game Pass, like you say, you get that shit free with Game Pass. Just comes with it. Oh yeah, hey, trust me, bro. Hey, they so many variables to this shit right now. That's why I said I've been really contemplating this shit. Like, should I buy that shit if I finish paying the taxes off? That don't sound responsible. And then, like I said, that's probably like the only game I'll be playing on that shit. Then that don't even sound responsible. I'm gonna spend like $300 basically for one game. I don't even. I said it's not even the console that I want. I just want the game, and I'm pissed because that shit I could get it on PlayStation if they ain't do that bullshit. It's so crazy. Now it's like, wow, bro. Like, do I really have to? But not. I don't know. Not right now. I'm already feeling like I will get that shit though, eventually. Let a motherfucker let me get some throwaway money. A motherfucker get a commission or something real quick. I'm in there. I'm in there. Mm. Have you started planning yet? Cause I already seen with just the character creation, man. I'll spend an hour and a half just building my character. As I say, I know that shit too, man. I gotta get some damn. I really gotta get this painting done and start, man. Cause I have not started another painting yet, and I really have been hitting like some ideas and concepts hard on the past couple of weeks. So I just need to get something on canvas before the end of the year. And that's another thing too. Like I already know, man. If I do get that game and start playing that shit now, man, that shit'll distract me so much, man. I wouldn't even finish none of these paintings this year. I say I'm already distracted enough as it is. Distractions. Alright, so this is weird how I gotta do this somehow. Somehow, some way. I gotta make it work though. So really, what if I try this first? If I do the Okay. Alright, it's gonna look something like that. I think. What game you playing? What game you playing now? And then plus, I pre-ordered that next Call of Duty. So I'm just, matter of fact, when that shit come out, yo? Cause I pre-ordered that shit like weeks ago. I know it come out. I thought it come out in September. I'm not sure. It might be close to the end of the month, or it might not even be this month. I gotta check that shit again. I already know, like, I'm gonna play the story game on that shit, and man, that's why I like, man, bro. If I had that shit right, if I had Starfield right now, I'd be no good. I would be no good at all. That's all I would do. Let me hold off on that shit for a minute. I'm too big of a kid for having too many video games at once. That shit make me irresponsible. Y'all hear my neighbors? They just moved in not too long ago. I think they're roommates. But they got some very strong voices. Alright, my window is open too, so. Yakuza? Okay. I got the whole stack of them Jones in the library. I just never played them, but every time they come up, and I can download it, I'll just snatch it, put it in the library. Ooh. Yeah, that it's called Metal Gear 1 or something. I thought they were gonna kind of like try to remake it a little bit or update them. Still probably one of my favorite gaming series of all time. Actually tried to play Death Stranding. Just I don't know. I don't think I like any other Kojima games for real. And he did something. Um, damn, what's that other series he's did? It's kind of like Insomnia, but not really. Like I tried to play one of those and was like, mm. But Metal Gear, yeah, I seen they was putting that shit up. No, this month they gave us the new Saints Row on for one of the monthly games. They gave us Saints Row and something. They gave us two okay games. Well, I don't know. I used to be a big Saints Row fan, but then everybody criticized this one too. Like I don't know. They're like that shit is bullshit. Blah 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 blah. Oh yeah, you gotta play that. Yeah, I've had all the Metal Gear Solids. Well, not that. I think they did like a couple handheld. I never had those. I don't know, like I had the Game Boy and I had the Sega Game Gear, and that was it. Like I never had the Game Boy Color or the Game Boy Advance, or I don't know. After a while, I never really got back into handhelds, and I never had like the PlayStation Vita or none of that shit. Like I don't know. So I know I don't know. I'm almost sure there was like a handheld or at least a couple handheld Metal Gear Solid games. And then there's like the one online Joan. I don't think I played that one. Well, yeah, there's actually a couple of different little spin-offs. But like all the main games, um, what is it? Sons of Liberty, goddamn Snake Eater. I play, no, Sons of the Patriots. I play all the canon shit. Guns of the Patriots. Why am I not saying that right? Now I can't even remember the title of the fucking game. And I think I played that. Raiden had his own. Didn't he have his own game? Revenge, or I don't know. I can't remember what the name of that shit was either. But I know I played Raiden's game. Because he was such a fucking badass character. This motherfucker had high heels on. I'm like, bro, how you fighting in high heels, my guy? Yeah, Saints Row 1 and 2, them was the only two I really fuck with. I actually fuck with part 2 the best, yo. Because it was as good as 1, but the graphics just looked better and the customization was more in depth, and they didn't really change anything. That's it. They made it look nicer. And like I say, a little more customization, and they kept like all the core features and everything was still there. That shit was fun as hell. But then it was like Gat Out of Hell and I don't know, Saints Row the Third. Like after that shit, I was like, I'm good. But them first two, classic games, bro. And that's why I was like, all right, I'll get this new one a shot. And even just starting that shit out, like how the story plot starts, and it's just like, man. On the other shit, nigga, you escaping from prison, nigga. You know that shit start out you escaping Sons of Liberty, Guns of the Patriots. So I did say it right. I don't know why I was confusing the shit out of myself. But yeah, and that Saints Row shit, you start out escaping from fucking jail. Wake up on the first one in, nigga, you get blown the fuck up. It's like, what the hell? And the second one, you wake up in the coma in prison. Like, yo, that shit was crazy. Now this new shit, you some military, you working for a military contractor, so shit, you chasing some motherfucker down, and I don't know. Like, I played the intro part. I'm really debating on playing some more of it today, just to see how it turns out, but I don't know, I think most of the critics are right on this one. Like, it may not even be worth the fucking time. It may not even be worth the time, bro. Like I said, I got little time for little distractions. I really ain't eating lunch today either. I need to. What time is it? It's already, well, hell. It's so late in the day now. I should have ate something by now. I actually felt good enough to cut the grass earlier. Yeah, Saints Row the Third. I was like, I played it, but that's when I was like, and I barely played it. Then I was like, okay. And then Gat Out of Hell, it was like, what? This nigga come back from the dead. Oh man. What the hell y'all doing with this game? And Johnny Gat was one of my favorite characters previously, him and his ratchet ass girlfriend. And they just, I don't know, the shit made it seem corny. I was like, what the fuck, bro? This nigga came back from the dead. Ain't that some shit? And then you had to be Johnny the whole time. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, so I ain't really like that one, and that's when it was like, all right, I'm done. I'm not even sure if that was the last one though. I say because I barely played Saints Row the Third, and then I don't even think I played that Johnny Gat shit. I just kept seeing everybody talk shit about it. I'm like, nah, not even gonna spend my money on that shit. And I hate when I lose a franchise like that. Like, oh. And that's just like motherfucking Bethesda now. It's just like, damn, man. Y'all motherfuckers just. Y'all got me fucked up, bro. Alright, I ain't gonna lie. I might have to go get something ready to eat soon. This staycation is trippy because I don't got shit to do, and I really ain't supposed to be doing nothing anyway because I got the what you call it, the 19. And so I just in the house all day and I'm pacing back and forth. I wound up taking a long ass nap. Woke up like, oh shit. I was like, I better do something. I don't know what to do. Let me do something. I'm thinking like, okay, I feel good enough. Let me go cut the grass. So I did that. Then I was like, okay, let me come paint for a little while. Then now I realize I ain't even ate shit. My shit just all off track. Now I'm getting hungry as hell.
Bethesda is arguably one of the most well-known game developers in the business. Casual gamers may not know the company by name, but I'm almost certain that they know the games. I personally know people that have played The Elder Scrolls and Fallout, and that's it. So with those facts being present, there was no avoiding the hype train that came with Starfield. People were bound to have high expectations based off the success of Bethesda's other IPs. Add on top of that the fact that a ton of people were saying that Microsoft was counting on Starfield to blow people away so they could finally join Sony in having their own AAA exclusive IPs. I don't think Starfield being bad would kill Microsoft, but I do agree that it would have been bad. So with all this pressure on the game, was it able to overcome it, or will it crumble under it?
Living in the moment, I feel as if I'm insane. A co-creator who basically don't exist on this plane. It's all a part of the game, they fabricate.
When I first loaded up Starfield, I tried my best to temper my expectations a bit. You know, you can't be disappointed if you don't overhype yourself. But despite my best efforts, I was so excited to press play. First things first came character creation, and to be honest, I was pretty underwhelmed. I thought that it'd be a bit more extensive, but it's pretty much what's been in past Bethesda games. It's not terrible, I just wish we had more control over certain parts of our characters' look. But after getting through character creation, it was finally time to start with my journey. I will say that the opening of this game isn't as impactful as, say, a Skyrim or a Fallout 4. It's not bad, but not super memorable, and I don't think it'll be nearly as memeable as those games. So, gameplay-wise, it feels like a Bethesda game through and through. From the character animations to the way bodies ragdoll, everything screams Bethesda. I'm not saying that like it's a bad thing. Personally, I'm a fan of their games, so I enjoy it. But if you don't like past Bethesda games, it's probably going to be the same here. I understand you're excited, I understand it's a game in space, but if you don't like those, you're not going to like this either. It's got the same structure as past Bethesda games, and their style has always been different from other devs. Now, I will say that your typical Bethesda mechanics with a bit of a facelift, one thing that stuck out to me is character lean while running, which was its own mod back in the Skyrim days. But I think a lot of the things people are critical of in Starfield are just tropes of Bethesda games. I mean, hell, they've made some of the most recognizable games of the millennium. So I think if it's not broke, why fix it?
Exactly.
Exploration was a huge selling point of Starfield throughout its pre-release marketing, and it had a lot of players excited. I would say to temper those expectations just a little bit. Not to say you won't have a good time exploring, just that if you're looking for something like No Man's Sky, you're not getting that here. There's a lot of loading screens, you just can't fly your ship wherever you want to go on or off world. Like I said, it's not bad, you still have a good time while you're exploring the world that they've created, but it's not as open as people were expecting, or not even expecting, just I guess hoping for. Everybody was hoping there'd be no loading screens, you could just go wherever you want, land wherever you want at all times, and it's just not like that. It's done in a good way. Most loading screens are hidden by some type of on-screen action or animation or something, but there are a ton of them when it comes down to it. If you have a good PC, which I'd say I have a decent PC, loading screens aren't really that bad. They last a couple seconds if that, and you're good to go. So unless you're somebody that just likes to be nitpicky, if you don't care about it, it's just a video game. There's loading screens in video games, get over it. Plus, they took a pretty realistic approach with the planets you can visit in the sense that there's a lot of planets that can't sustain life. Those planets aren't completely barren, as they typically have outposts and other places of interest for you to check out. So it's still fun to explore, you just won't be running into things everywhere you go. But I will say you have far more random encounters in space while flying on your ship. I've had a genuinely good time communicating with other ships along my journey. And while not all the conversations are worthwhile, it still helps keep things interesting. Overall, Bethesda created an amazing world in Starfield. It feels real and actually lived in, which makes sense because world building has always been their biggest strength. It may not be the space life simulator that some people hope for, but it's still a beautifully crafted universe. With all those well-crafted worlds, there's a ton to experience along your journey. There are countless combat encounters, locations to discover, and characters to get to know. Throw in a very solid amount of customization and a full-fledged outpost mechanic with the ability to...
Oh yeah, that's why I'm taking the week off of work.
Now add in fun space combat and a variety of ways to attack any combat or dialogue scenario, and you've got yourself a contender for Game of the Year. Block out all the bias Sony vs. Microsoft BS you see on the internet, and go check out Starfield if you can. It'd make your own opinion, but me personally, I think it's worth playing. Go check it out.
This offense just a little too good, isn't it? They really are, because no matter what you do to make an adjustment. And he's into the end zone for a Tampa Bay touchdown. Saquon Barkley.
I took a test on.
Did you know that now you can use AI in Adobe Express to make literally any image or text for your design? You can make something out of this world like holographic alien text. Create.
All right, guys. So what?
Yeah, Saturday I wasn't feeling good on Saturday, and then I took a test on Sunday, and that bad boy said, I did not pass the test. I failed the test dramatically, actually. So I hit my boss up, and I was like, yo, boss, I got this test I need you to see. And it was like, let's see you next week. But this week was the first week that a lot of my new programming was supposed to start. I'm like, man, look, I'm missing out on so much shit right now at work. See, if this was vacation or something, we would have had time to plan and schedule and all that shit. But this just popped up, and now motherfuckers kind of scrambling a little bit to compensate. But we all got, like, I don't know. Everybody got their roles, man. Motherfuckers just know their role and handle that shit. And so when somebody ain't there, it's just like, oh shit. Like with my direct supervisor, she's filling in for me, which is crazy. My boss has to really do my job now. I don't know, man. She the only other person who can really do that shit. Who's willing to do it and can do it well, I should say. I don't know. Yeah, I gotta square this up real quick. Cause I'm really starting to get hungry, man. I gotta go start preparing some. I got 3 things I took out though, so I'm gonna try to cook 3 separate meals. Well, damn, that'd be, I don't know, cause 2 of my meals got rice in it. I don't know if I need to eat all that rice at one time. But I took a big ass chicken breast out. I was thinking about making like a chicken stir fry. Put that shit over some rice. And then I took I had a smoked turkey leg in that bitch. I took that out. And I normally eat smoked turkey leg with rice, but now I'm thinking like, damn, if I cook the chicken with rice and then the turkey with rice, I'll be eating an ass of rice in the next couple days. Which I don't really mind, honestly. And then what else I took out? I took I don't know. I took something else out. Oh, some Italian sausage. See, I can either just like cook that shit and make some sausage. Oh, you know what? I could do sausage and peppers instead of the chicken. Well, damn. Now I'm confusing myself. I still gonna have to cook that chicken. You know what? I could just grill that chicken and have that shit over salad. And then instead of using the peppers for stir fry, I can use the peppers and make sausage, peppers, and onions. And then I can just have rice with the turkey. And that way I have something for salads. I have peppers and onions, and I'll have rice. I think that might be the route that I take on that shit. Might be the route I take. I ain't had sausage and peppers in a minute. You know what? I might cook that shit first too, cause that shit don't take a long time to cook, and I'm hungry, bitch. I'm gonna go cook some sausages and peppers. I got that fucking sweet, hot Italian, whatever, the good shit, man. Damn, like you can grill them shits. Them shits be good as hell off the grill too. But if you do like sear them or saute them in the pan, them shits. It don't matter how you cook them little motherfuckers, bro. Them shits be good as hell. Yo, one of my homies still tried to come over here for he said he's just gonna come kick it for a bit. I'm like, nigga, ain't I told you I got COVID, bro? He was like, yeah, nigga, but you sanitize your house, ain't it? I'm like, well, he asked me that before he told me he was gonna come over though. I ain't answered his phone call. I was cutting grass when he called me, and then I called him back. Well, he texted me early. He was like, how you feeling, bro? I'm like, I feel pretty good this morning. You know, honestly, I don't feel that bad. He was like, you be sanitizing your house and shit? I'm like, yeah. And then you know what? I didn't even know why he was asking me all these questions. I was like, yeah, I sanitized my house. I got fucking Lysol, nigga. What the fuck? He was like, oh, word. And you're breathing good? I'm like, yeah, my breathing good, bro. Thanks for checking up on me. And he was like, all right, I'll holler at you later. And then when I was cutting the grass, I missed his phone call. I called him back. I was like, yo, what's good, cuz? He was like, oh, I was gonna stop by. I was like, what? He was like, yeah, I was in the area, man. I was gonna come fuck with you for a minute. I'm like, bruh, I don't think that's a good idea. I don't think that's a good idea, man. He was like, nah, I was just gonna be for a little while. I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm still a little coffee over here. I know it's just like congestion and shit, really, but still, I don't want nobody to blame shit on me. You know, don't come over here and then you go home and you get whatever and then they get whatever. Nah, so that's not. That motherfucker about to risk it though. You wanna come chill that bad, bro? Just nigga ready to catch COVID. Cause I'm not smoking with you. I'm not. I don't know what the fuck, bro. What you want? What you want? Stay your ass away right now, man. This nigga crazy. So he came over here. He had to open up a new account at this Jewish bank. I'm like, what? He was like, yeah, man, you gotta fuck with the Jews, man. They give you way better lines of credit. I'm like, you know what? That shit makes sense. He was like, yeah, but the only one of these Jewish banks I could find, that shit overweight by where you at. He's like, yo, you need to hop over there and get you an account with them motherfuckers too, man. I'm like, all right, and that's probably really what he wanted to come over and talk about, setting up his new Jewish bank account. Oh man, I'm trying so hard to square this little area away right here, but I can't think about nothing but food right now. My stomach gonna start growling in a minute. I can tell. All right, I'm gonna just have to, cause it's not that precise with these lines. I'm gonna have to come back and do a little more. Got it. Gonna have to add some more yellow in there. And make it brighter up here too. A little bit like this. And that'll be yellow in there. But I'm gonna have to let that dry anyway so that yellow can pop. The more yellow I put on there, it's just getting blended in with the red too much. So what I'll do is I'll just try to get the pinkish colors on here, and I can highlight those with the pink and the white, but I would probably have to let that dry or get really tacky before I come back and add the more yellow highlights, because the yellow is standing out but it's still blending in too much. So I'd rather have that yellow pop out a little bit more, so I'll have to wait on that some. We shouldn't take too long, because I don't think these colors would take that long to get tacky. But I think this right here may be a good stopping point. We'll see. Yeah, I'm gonna pull right there.
Catch y'all on the flip side.